What's up, everyone? Welcome to Screen Smash. I am your host, Dan Morris. Joining me tonight, we have Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake, solid Jake, once upon a Jake, all the Jakes.
Perfect. And we also
Less than
have
Jake, certainly not.
That's enough Jake jokes.
Yeah.
Less than Jake. How did I not think of that?
And of course, we also have MSG joining us tonight.
Hi, I'm here. I've been here the whole time.
You said that last time. What does that mean?
I know. It means that even when I'm not on the screen, I'm there.
Are you that creepy guy in that meme of him creeping around the bushes, like
all the time? I'm creeping and I'm creeping and I'm creeping all the time.
And we have also Iain McParland.
Oh, I got you right. Well done, Dan. Hiya.
Of course. I don't forget.
No.
Thank you.
Difficult name.
It's not like it's Benedict Cumberbatch or something ridiculous.
Or Ubisoft.
Daniel, you watch yourself, young man.
Ubisoft, okay?
Ubisoft.
Yeah, Ubisoft.
Ubisoft or Ubi Hard? You choose one. One.
We're going to be talking a little bit about game exclusivity tonight. We're also going to talk about the rumors and supposed upgrades for new consoles that we may or may not need. And then we're going to talk about how long is too long for video game development cycles. Starting us off, we're going to talk about game exclusivity. And I wanted to throw it out there because we've got a lot of games like Stray, Sifu, Ghostwire Tokyo. These are games that were once exclusive, but now they're making their way to other platforms. There's also a lot of discourse in the gaming world and interwebs of things like Final Fantasy, Call of Duty, Elder Scrolls. It's just a constant back and forth and hotbed when it comes to game exclusivity. And I wanted to open this up for us to talk about. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it matter depending on the specific game? And I wanted to see how you gentlemen felt on this particular topic. Why don't you start us off, Iain?
Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of game exclusivity in general. I know why it's there. I'm not an idiot. They do it to sell the consoles. They do it to sell the games. Make sure that people are tied into their console. I'm not an idiot, but I'm more in favor of timed exclusives than full-on exclusives. Just because I want to play the games that I want to play on the console that I have. I don't want to have to get every console known to man. Yeah, that's my general thoughts on it, to be honest.
You got to play Pokemon. You got to collect them all, right?
I know, but Nintendo. Nintendo seems to always get away with the exclusivity thing because everyone just accepts that Nintendo is just Nintendo. They do their own shit.
They do.
I think people think of Nintendo as a toy more than a video game.
No, like Nintendo's that youngest child who can do no wrong, even though they mess up constantly. No, it's true. I mean, like, I know we're not talking about exclusively like games, whatever, but like when they come to announce things, I'm kind of tired of like if Xbox goes and puts on a 20-minute beta or whatever for not a beta, like a demo for like Halo, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have this and this and this and that." People are just like, "Oh my god, no, that was lame. Forget it. It's trash."
Yeah,
and then
don't
here comes Nintendo.
Here comes
Nintendo. Nintendo comes walking up. Oh man, I don't know what we're presenting today. Let's just draw some Mario, slap it on the freaking board, and oh my god, it's awesome!
Or flawless.
People lose their mind, and I'm so tired of it. But it is what it is. They're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna keep buying it, and that's the cycle of life.
It's a very fair point too. Like where Nintendo just kind of gets away with doing whatever the hell they want for some reason. Like, why is it only Sony and Microsoft in the conversation?
Yeah, just get out scot free. No one ever says, "Why isn't Mario on PlayStation? Why isn't he on there?" But
I've answered that question before, and my answer was always just because it's Nintendo.
Exactly.
People
it's also a branding thing.
Yeah.
There's PlayStation characters that go over to Super Smash, but
it's true.
You're never going to see the opposite.
Where's my Master Chief, man? I want my
That's
Chief
true.
in Smash. I want to Smash Chief.
See, now Microsoft's been playing well.
I was worried there were
Smash
going to
them
be
Chiefs.
no sound bites for us to clip.
There you go.
Smash the Chief. Chief
Double
smash.
kill.
Master Chief. Oh, I can't even
Master.
speak. Master Chief.
Master Chief. Welcome.
Is Master Chief being played by Sean Connery now?
I was gonna say he's the new narrator for Ultimate. Choose your fighter.
Next time.
Next time on Super
Next
Smash
time
Bros.
on Dragon Ball Z. What the bloody hell am I reading?
That needs to be the announcer voice for the next Super Smash game. Best collaboration. Done. All right, we can
Tangents
move on. Whatever.
aside.
We can do whatever we want.
I wanted to say, like, to your point, Ian, that I actually hate timed exclusives. I think they're the worst possible thing. What I think makes the most sense is the like owned company, like development studios being exclusive. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, Sony owns its studios, Microsoft owns its studios. If they want to make them exclusive, that's fine. I think it's the smartest thing that both Sony and Xbox, Microsoft could do, where they make their games available for their console plus PC. Like, it's about damn time that Sony started pushing their stuff out on PC. I've said this before in the past, when they finally started bringing their games to PC. Like, that was just dumb of them not to, because the PC gaming market is bigger than all of console market, gaming put together. So it's just a waste of money. But what I hate to see is third-party studios randomly picking and choosing. I hate when a studio says, okay, we're going to release our current game on both platforms, but our next game is going to be exclusive. Like Street Fighter 4, Xbox, Sony, everyone. Street Fighter 5, PlayStation only. Like, why?
Well, for one thing, I think it comes down to probably, contracts and what they are able to sign, and perhaps there's some sort of like deal they make with DLC or network exclusives or some sort of like pre-sales or that like when it comes to like that sort of deal, that feels to me like it usually ends up being a money situation, which most of the time it ends up coming down to. But if it's just a straight up like, we found that the game that we're using, the game engine, works better with the PS5, that's why we're going with it instead of Microsoft, then yeah, I can understand like an exclusivity from that point of view.
Yeah. I feel like that wouldn't have been as much of an issue, except for like back in the day on the PS3, because the PS3 was like notoriously hard to develop for. So actually, there was a few games that ended up skipping the PS3 because the dev teams had such a hard time coding their games for that platform. And I feel like nowadays, as far as I know, as far as I'm aware, like the PlayStation and the Xbox use very similar systems, so it's not as drastically difficult to make the game for one or the other. But I see where you're going. That's kind of probably the biggest factor when it comes to contracts, deals. And it's like, for me, I'm pretty irritated that Final Fantasy 16 is going to be PlayStation exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I can't play it on PlayStation, but it's like, why? I don't get it.
Final Fantasy kind of always been just like identified as a PlayStation game, though, like a PlayStation franchise?
Up until the PS2, though. After the PS2, it went multi-platform. It's been multi-platform for 2-3 generations.
But I feel like it's ingrained in gamers' minds, like, oh, Final Fantasy, yeah, that's a PlayStation game.
Well, they also got like the remasters pretty late too. Like the Final Fantasy 7 like port that they did, like that came only a few years ago.
Oh, you're talking about like the port of the original game?
Yeah, the original port.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like that came a little bit later after it came to the PlayStation. So like they got that first as well, because I remember buying that on PS4.
But the thing is, I wonder, like, is there a difference sometimes when these games come out? Because you can see, I'm fine if a game comes out for PlayStation, Xbox, Wii. Nintendo, I should just say, because I don't know what the next generation of stuff is going to be. Is it fair to have them do like, okay, well, if you get it for the PlayStation, you get this specific content for it, but if you get it for Xbox, you get it for this specific content, and so on? Like, is that okay to do with exclusivity?
Well, now you're going back to like the 360 PS3 days where they used to do that kind of shit hard back then. There always used to be something where if you buy it for Xbox, you get this. If you buy it for PlayStation, you get this. And it was like you got almost different versions of the game back then, or you would get extra DLC that was exclusive to the console. And that used to drive me nuts back then too. Yeah. And most recently, I would say the biggest version of that was Spider-Man for Marvel's Avengers. They were like, you get Spider-Man on a PlayStation, but nowhere else. But that's because Sony owns Spider-Man. So they monopolized the shit out of that.
It only took like 2 years for them to put them in it.
Yeah, it took forever.
When it was dead.
And now the game is dead.
Yeah. That game had
it was dead
so many problems
on arrival, but it's dead now.
And now there's is that why people aren't happy about Suicide Squad? Because it looks a lot like
because it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. It's pretty much the same thing. To the point where the studio is even like, Rocksteady was like, okay, maybe we need to change a few things.
I mean, they're not going to be able to like reformat the entire game in the time before they release it, but
it needs to be a normalized service game for one player. No, this is a tangent. Sorry, guys.
Your tangent is that it should be a one-player game.
Yeah. Oh, it should offline. Yeah, it's fine.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What does get my goat a little bit in the exclusivity topic is when like you said, like established franchises that go exclusive mid generation. And I think that's what's got a lot of people worried about the Activision deal with COD eventually possibly not going exclusive. But I know it's got a lot of people sad about Elder Scrolls.
Well, that was before that. That was Bethesda. That Microsoft bought Bethesda years ago. You know,
and I'm pretty sad that I probably won't ever get to play Hellblade 2. Hellblade 1 was so great. I was looking forward to it, and then it became exclusive, and I'm not going to be able to play it because I'm not going to get an Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, Hellblade 2 may most likely be exclusive, but I feel you on that too because I absolutely love Hellblade. I bought it originally on the PlayStation when it was a PlayStation exclusive, but the studio, Ninja Theory didn't get as much support as they were wanting. Microsoft said, hey, we like what they're doing. We're going to help them out and acquire them, and we're going to give them the backing to make the next game as to any extent, essentially. So I'm not upset about that because they're able to make another game because Xbox stepped in to essentially front the bills.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy that there is a Hellblade 2. I'm sad that I'll probably never play it.
On that note, Hellblade 2 will probably be on PC though as well. So
the game's still not out?
No.
Oh my god.
There's so many games that are still not out that we all keep thinking I can run through an entire list of announcements.
I know we're getting there, so I'm not going to jump into it, but
they don't jump the gun.
I just remember you talking about it, and I
forgot that was on the topic list.
Yeah, Hellblade 2 was originally announced in 2020.
Should double check before that.
No, December 2019 is when Hellblade 2 was announced.
Yeah, it's not that long in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
For more talk on Hellblade 2, fast forward 5 minutes.
To be fair, Ninja Theory is a pretty small studio, and they put a hell of a lot of work into their games. So I don't know. I like them. I've always loved Ninja Theory as a studio, so I have got no beef. But anyways, moving us along to it makes sense to go this route. I think we're going to talk about the mid-generation console upgrades. It's been about 2.5 years since the launch of the Xbox One, or not the Xbox One, the Series X and S, and the PS5. Whatever. They just try to be different. That's all it is. So
they've never been able to figure out a proper way to marketing. PlayStation figured it out. 2.
Well, they were the first of the market to say 1, 2.
They're just go for it.
Yeah, they got it. They nailed it right off the bat.
I don't think anybody would have faulted Microsoft for saying the Xbox 2.
Xbox too good. So yeah, I mean you could.
It's all good.
It's the Xbox TOO, as in as well as.
I like
it's fair enough. But so we have been all but confirmed that Sony does have plans on launching a PS5 Slim and a PS5 Pro, much like they did with the PS4. I did a little digging and saw that it was roughly about 3 years after the launch of the PS4 that Sony put out the Slim and the PS4 Pro. So it kind of like aligns in that process. It got delayed because of the shortage on chips and things, and the PlayStation 5 itself wasn't even freaking available until pretty much very recently. Which is, I'll start right there. Like, do we need an upgrade for the PlayStation 5 and or the Xbox at this point in time?
Yes and no.
What
Yes and
can
no,
you
man.
possibly upgrade though?
I don't know. We won't know it till we
Like,
see it.
aren't every time a console comes out, isn't it supposed to be the pinnacle of what it is you're capable of doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 years after.
So until they figure out how to do it better or differently, why make something that is just essentially, I don't know, like not quite a PS5, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Because it's new and it's shiny.
Yeah, but it's got a new hat, as The Simpsons once said.
You're gonna change it.
I'd be okay with a new system if they change the form factor of the PS5, because I do not like the shape and the look of the PS5. I do not like it at all.
I don't mind like a remodeling, like if they say, "Oh, it does all the same stuff, but it can fit on your desk better." Yeah,
and
that's cool. I get that.
Xbox
That's
did that in the
practical.
360 generation. Like the original 360 is that big wonky brick, but then
Jesus,
they
that
like
thing was
refined it and slimmed it.
The thick brick.
The thick brick. But then they came out with like the Xbox like Slim that was like sleek and like you could put the hard drive inside of it instead of on the top. And I was like, oh, that's pretty. I like that. They ditched the face plates on the front and just started doing like custom consoles. The 360 had great iterations, and I'll say this: I was a sucker for those things. I'm sure Jake was there with me. I upgraded my 360 probably 7 times, maybe.
And then the two slim 360s had a baby and had like that little mini one.
It's like I had the original 360, then I got another 360 with the bigger hard drive, then I got like the Final Fantasy 13 360, then I got the Gears of War 3 360, I got the Halo 4 3. Yeah,
the Halo one.
Man, you are the reason why they keep making these things.
But then Xbox stopped doing that, but PlayStation's the one that's doing it now more.
Seems like it.
Like we got to get that Dan Morris network of consumers.
Yeah, right.
No, but like like Dan was saying earlier, though, like it's been 2 years since the PS5 has been out, and like they're now like I'm just now seeing them in stores. So it's like the thing that gets me is like, do you think maybe this can possibly hurt sales? Because like me and Dan, like I believe new is always better when it comes to consoles. So like I want a new console. So if I didn't have a PS5 and I walk into Target and I got one on the shelf like right now, and I hear that there's going to be a newer model, like I honestly don't think I'm going to buy it. I'm like, let me just see if I can get the newer one, because new is always better.
I do need to retcon something I just said, because I'm thinking now when the Xbox One came out, I bought the original Xbox One, then I got the Xbox One Elite, then I got the Xbox One X. So yeah, I'm the problem.
Good job.
You are the problem.
I've only bought one PlayStation 4 though. I still have my original PlayStation 4.
I got 3.
Must be nice to have money.
Jake's the problem too.
I bought the Destiny one, the white one. Then the Batman Arkham Knight. That was too good to pass up. And then the Spider-Man PS4 Pro. That was.
Wow.
See, my issue is I buy the special edition consoles. Like I'm okay on just the basic ones, but if it comes with a special edition console, I need to buy it. I need all of them. I need 12.
Yeah, I want them all. Collect them all.
Gotta catch them all.
That we joke about how like Pokemon is like still going, but because of that one catchphrase, they instilled in a generation
to
mind just control. Get and get and get. As I look at my wife's gigantic Pikachu collection, both stuffed, books, hats, shirts, all of it. Yeah, let me just grab this one. This is like one of maybe 23 that's in there.
You're looking at a giant Pikachu.
They drilled it in our heads, folks.
I remember thinking that as a kid when I wasn't a fan of Pokemon, but it would come on every morning, like before school at 6 or 7 in the morning. And I'm hearing that song in the background, like, gotta catch them all. And all I could think is like, that sounds like brainwashing. Like you're trying to trick me into owning all these things.
Oh, we've already started a Digimon versus Pokemon battle in the chat.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. That'll happen. But before we get too carried away with that, I wanted to say, like, where the hell is Nintendo in all this? If anyone should put out a new system, it should be fucking Nintendo.
Yeah, I thought we were supposed to get like a 4K version. But instead we got what, Metroid announced? That was it?
No, we're gonna go back to my earlier point real quick. Nintendo Switch Omega
Plus
minus equals minus plus. Yay,
now,
Mario!
Nintendo
No.
was the king of iterative consoles, especially with the DSs. Oh my god, there are so many DSs, so many 3DSs, so many special editions, and Nintendo could easily just put out like reskin of the Switch. But like, where's the Switch 2? Where's the Switch Pro?
Where's the Switch Dark?
I want the Super Switch. Where's the Nintendo Super Switch?
Yeah. Give me the Ultra Switch.
We have light.
The Omega Switch. Yeah. Well, you can't say Omega because then you're like
trademark.
finalizing it.
Omega Switch.
Although as cool as it sounds, but that's the thing. They're just buzzwords.
Awesome.
They're not
Yeah.
like.
But again, this brings me back to like people are talking about like, do we get a PS5 Pro? Do we get an Xbox Elite or an Xbox? I don't know what you call the upgraded Xbox now because they've already got X in the name. When
The Series.
the Series X,
The Series
it's
X.
the
and
Xbox
that's-
serious this time,
guys. We're really
serious.
No,
Super
no,
serious.
I think that was the dumbest name change. You have the
It really
Xbox
was.
Series, and then you have the Xbox One X, and then Xbox One X Series S or X. I think it's the dumbest, most
Well, it's
confusing.
not an Xbox One series. It's just Xbox Series.
Whatever. I don't know anymore. Let's see.
It's impossible to
I'm
keep track
an
of.
Xbox fan, and I don't even know what it's called. So.
It is what it is. I will say this: like, I think I don't hate the idea of the iteration of the console mid-generation upgrades because I'm sure a lot of companies are looking at it much like phones nowadays. It's like iPhones. They put out a new iPhone every year, and people buy them.
Mhm.
So why not a new console every year or 2 years to make people buy them? Because why not? Because people are going to want the newer shiny, like you said, Jake, the shiny.
The
New
shiny. Gotta catch them all. Shiny.
The Slim is the only thought that I have. The Pro, I mean, I don't think they're using the enough of the capabilities of the PS5 at the moment. Anyway, so Pro.
What happened to AK?
I don't know, but the Slim at least will make it easier to travel with. I guess if you need to move it around, hopefully it won't be a dumb shape though.
Yeah, as long as it's not all wonky and
Yeah.
if they come out with a PS5 Slim and it's got some ridiculous shape that's impossible to like sit,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a
start.
dome and it'll just
Yeah.
roll around.
Yeah.
I think that's a big issue I have with the consoles. I don't know if they've made an updated one, but I have one of those games cases, like the briefcase,
Mm.
Yeah.
and it sucks that you can't use those with the newer consoles because they're so freaking huge.
The thing is, it's finding a balance between utilitarian and unique, because you want it to match the aesthetic and the vibe that you're going for, but you also want it to be functional. And at the same time, this is also a furniture piece that is going in your home for the most part. So they have like all of that in mind. It's a very, very hard thing to balance, which is why there are like entire teams just based on what does it look like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of portability, like I sometimes go around to some friends' house to play Call of Duty, and I mean, I had to buy a new backpack just to get that PlayStation 5 in because my other backpacks were too small.
You know what you need is a Sherpa or like a pack mule to get your PS5
Definitely.
around.
85 liter backpack.
And I love the fact that the Xbox was so freaking huge that they actually made the Xbox fridge, the mini fridge.
Yeah, right.
I see that at Target all the time, and I'm like,
I love that they can make fun of themselves in that way.
No,
though,
yeah.
too.
Didn't they make a KFC Xbox air fryer or something like that?
I'm just waiting until Sony actually makes a router. So then it's like,
They
have your-
should.
Oh yeah.
It should like complement the PS5 to like look like here's the PS5 next to the PS5 router.
I feel like eventually, instead of like just graphics upgrades, there's going to be tools that they implement, like I'm sure some sort of form of like an Amazon or Alexa AI service. There's going to be like not only will it be an entertainment system, but you can also use it for, like it'll cross-platform with a lot of different devices that they'll try to get. Like that's where I feel like the future of a lot of those things, because if they can decide to determine, do we want to make something that's powerful as what we have but mobile, or do we want to have it be as powerful as it can for the games that we want to run on it, and also make it part of the everyday life of what you're using in your home?
That makes me immediately think about how Xbox has been utilizing the cloud, because they're offering pretty much everything you can play on the console, but streaming / some sort of quick and easy way to access. Now we've got new TVs that have Xbox built into them. You can play it on your phone. You can play it on your tablet. Like, you don't necessarily need a console. So does
get
Xbox
ready for
need a new
that
console then?
Yeah.
So
get ready for that Bing AI basically to end up coming part of something soon. I'm sure that they're going to try to find a way to integrate it.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
turning that shit off straight away. See you later.
It's just nope.
Nope.
I miss Cortana.
Why did you turn me off?
Yeah.
Please let me live.
Remember that
Let me
Cortana?
live.
Stop it. Stop it, MSC. It was too close. Too close.
No. We're going to move on to our main topic of the evening, and that is, how long is too long for video game development? Some games take a really long time to develop, and it's okay and it's good for the game. And some games take a really long time to develop for like really stupid reasons. Or, anyways, like the main thing that brings this to mind for me currently is the upcoming, eventually, Ubisoft game.
There you go. Good job.
Skull and Bones. Because Skull and Bones, if you aren't aware, is an upcoming pirate game by Ubisoft. I almost said it wrong. That
I'm proud of you, Dan.
was announced back in 2015, 16. It was around the same time as Sea of Thieves.
16 or 17, I thought it was.
Like,
I could be
Sea of
wrong.
Thieves and Skull and Bones were announced together very close. I think 2017 probably sounds.
I think it was 17.
I remember at the time I was like, "Oh shit, we're not getting one but two pirate games." They were
Was
announced.
there a Pirates of the Caribbean movie out like around that time too, or like?
If it did, it didn't matter.
Something doesn't feel right about that. Let me look this up.
They were very close. But Skull and Bones was originally announced as like we're gonna make a multiplayer pirate game based off of the mechanics of Assassin's Creed 4's like naval combat. And it was like, oh, that's cool, because that was my favorite part of that game, was the naval combat.
Mhm.
So I'm all for having a game that is centered in that. But here we are, 2023. The game is still in late
Limbo.
development. It was supposed to come out soon. And they, what was it? Well, how long ago was that?
Oh my God,
Jake?
you're right.
I know.
2017. Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves is
Wasn't it supposed to
celebrating
be
its
like back in like
5th anniversary.
yeah. Wasn't it supposed to be like in October? I thought it was. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I want to say that there was a Ubisoft thing in January, or was it earlier than that?
Yeah, it
And
was January that they announced it.
Yeah.
They showed off new
delays and
stuff for Skull and Bones, and it was like, okay, cool, like we're getting an update on Skull and Bones. And then shortly thereafter, they had done a closed play test, and the news was flooding into the interwebs that it wasn't good, that people were not liking it, and it was really bland and really boring. And it was like what are you guys doing over there, Ubisoft? What's happening? Anyways,
Yeah. Like, so, I feel like something has to be like game breaking for them to take that long to delay it. Like, what happened, man?
Is that a case of like, now we're starting to think, okay, don't announce your game until you know it's going to be ready? The same way we were talking, like we've talked about, don't release a game until it's ready.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But Cyberpunk also was announced like
That's why I
several
bring it up.
years before its
Oh my
release
God,
date.
it was announced.
That was like 2013, right?
it was a long time ago.
Long time.
Long time ago.
I
So
think the
like,
biggest
is
issue
that
is-
even
go ahead.
like something that companies even want to think about? Like, how much hype do you actually want to give your game unless you are sure that it's going to be a sure hit, which nothing can ever be, guaranteed. or you're just that confident.
Unless
Yeah.
you're like Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People will buy it anyway at that point.
Or Rockstar.
Well, I know, Ian, you had some thoughts on Naughty Dog, so I wanted to let you jump in here.
Yeah, I mean, how long's a piece of string really is too long for a game, because you can get really long development cycles and the game still being a really good, polished, amazing game. I'm talking about Last of Us Part 2. It had a 6-year development cycle, I think it did, but they announced it 2 years in. So I don't know at what point some of these games are getting announced. Are they getting announced early on or like a couple of years into the development cycle? But even so, 4 years after their first announcement, that's when it came out. And I'm sure that there was some problems along the way, but you can still get a good game at the end of it as long as you've got a good vision for the game. I do feel like some of these games that have long development cycles have like development hell on what the vision for the actual game is. I'm sure not Sea of Thieves, the Skull and Bones has probably gone through that. Seeing that Sea of Thieves have come out and done well, very well, it doesn't seem to be the same. And whether they're thinking, I need to have a rethink about what the actual game is.
They already made a great pirate game.
Yeah.
I mean,
like they nailed it.
Yeah, like Assassin's Creed 4 is great.
I loved Rogue. Rogue for me was better than
very underrated
Rogue.
game.
Yeah,
Very good
I've
game.
heard from you, Jake, that Rogue is really good too. I haven't played that one.
Rogue's a fantastic game.
It came out terrible timing though, because it came out the same day as Unity did, which was the next gen game, and Rogue was on last gen.
That's unfortunate.
Why did they do that?
And Rogue was the better
what
game.
I'm hearing now is just Ubisoft making terrible decisions constantly.
That is very much in the same like vein of like what happens with Bethesda. They just you're doing so great, and then Todd Howard talks.
That's an instance where one of those games should have gotten delayed a little bit further.
Yeah,
and it should have been Unity, but
And on that notion, like Ubisoft also announced that they were going to make a Beyond Good and Evil 2 with this really intense cinematic trailer, and it's dust in the wind. It's poof, like it's non-existent.
When's the last time we even heard about that? Because that's a long time ago now.
I can't even remember.
The last time I remember hearing anything about Beyond Good and Evil 2 was, I think, in 2019. I remember seeing a like voice acting gig posted online that they were looking for random VO of like radio diaries, because I remember recording one and sending it in. That it was like on a website that I was looking at for VO.
So you're telling me you're the reason why?
Yes, because I recorded a random audio recording as a random space pirate.
They're like, Dan, we need 13 more lines from you. I need to have it in now. I'm delaying this game, buddy.
Ubisoft's over there sitting there waiting for my VO lines to come in.
Yeah. You make them work for you. But I mean, I also feel like the more games get delayed, the less interested people are going to be in them.
It kind of burns off the hype.
Because I was looking up games that were supposed to be out last year, and the Golem game was supposed to come out last year. I think the day before Rings of Power came out, and that would have been
the Golem
perfect. Yeah, right.
Oh,
wow!
I
forgot about that.
That probably would have gotten more sales than whenever it decides to come out now.
Unless it's going to wait until the next Lord of the Rings movie that's being talked about.
Or the next season of...
It's... What do we know?
Yeah, but that's supposed to be coming soon.
There's so many promises. So many promises of all these things.
But also like
it's
Starfield. Starfield got pushed back again. Like,
well, that's Bethesda in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I mean, it could all go back to the No Man's...
Because you expect it, right?
But what about the No Man's Sky debacle? Like,
it's sad when you have to...
The more I learn about that, about how the pressure was all on the one developer to just put it out there and then be the guy to be associated with the game. So as he's promising all these amazing things that you could do, and everyone's just like so hyped, and then it's just like, I would run away and never return if I found out that the game did not actually do all the stuff that they paid me to promise.
I was going to say that on Ian's topic of discussion where he mentioned that like The Last of Us was announced too soon, I think a game like The Last of Us 2 is hard because it's got a lot of expectations and a lot of hype. People are expecting something. They're waiting for something. So there's a lot of pressure on a studio like Naughty Dog to tell them. When it's an unannounced project or a not unknown project, it's not as big of a deal. But on the contrary, something like Battlefield 1, which is a massive franchise and they come out regularly, but not as regularly as like Call of Duty. When they announced Battlefield 1, they're like, oh, by the way, this game's coming out in 6 months. And I was like, oh, like, all right, cool. Like, I'm happy about that. And this was the first time Battlefield really did that. But yeah, like, I hate when a game gets announced way too early, and it's like, don't do that to me. Don't fuck with me like that. Like,
Look at Dead Island 2, for example.
yeah, I wanted to bring up Dead Island, so I'm glad you did. Thank you.
And then didn't it get like canceled and then revived again?
It got changed hands. It went from one studio to another studio. So it started development and then stopped development and then started again with a different studio. So it technically had it started with like a 3 or 4 year dev cycle. Then it went to another studio, which basically started from scratch. And then it got another 5 years essentially. So yeah, Dead Island is another example of a game that took too long. And of course, we can't talk about this without talking about Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
14 years.
I mean, we can just.
Now
just
that
waited a long
is
time for
too
this
long.
grabby game.
That was too long.
Mhm.
And it wasn't good.
That's what she said.
No, it was terrible.
Yeah,
It
so
was like
too long.
It was such a waste of time.
Yeah.
I think it just became like a meme at that point, like early before meme was just a word that everyone used of like, oh yeah, Duke Nukem Forever and Half-Life 3 are going to come out at the same time.
Yeah.
True.
And people are still waiting for a Half-Life 3, which will probably never happen. But
No.
At least they didn't announce a Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
And now it's never happened.
People
Yeah.
just expect it.
And like what I was thinking though before, like where is my Prince of Persia, man? Like that was supposed to come out what 2-3 years ago?
I think it originally had like a December 2020 release date or something like that.
I was hyped for that, but sadly, the only thing I wanted from it was I'm like, why are you just doing the first one?
But
Like,
why?
do the whole, like, do the
Why
whole
haven't we
trilogy.
gotten it yet either? Like, what's the
No,
hold
like,
up?
I'm
What's the hold up?
curious. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, is there something that game breaking
Is
in
that
it,
Ubisoft
or
as
are you
well?
trying to?
It is,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's Ubisoft as well.
Wait, just keep on talking about Ubisoft. Anything Ubisoft,
That's
and it's,
We're change the episode's name to
what's going on
Ubisoft.
at Ubisoft?
Yeah, what the hell's wrong with Ubisoft?
Ubisoft. What up with that?
And they also just like canceled a bunch of games too that they were planning and developing.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, well, like an article a few months back, they canceled a bunch of games. So I'm wondering, I'm like, was Prince of Persia one of them? Because we've heard nothing.
I don't understand why that's such a big. Like, it was supposed to be like an HD remaster of the original game, right?
I thought they were remaking it. I thought.
I don't
could be
think it was a
wrong.
remake. I think it was because they used the original key art from the original game.
Mhm.
So if it was a remaster, it shouldn't have that. It's as far as I know, it's a remaster of the original game, which to me is like, you know, you take it, you shine it up, you give it a little extra features, you give it some quality of life improvements, and bam, here's the HD remaster.
I know what they're doing now. I got it. They're going to release it the same day as the sequel to the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, no.
Definitely going to come out.
I can't believe I saw that.
Am I the only one who liked that movie?
I saw it in theaters, and even then, I was just like, "This
Dude.
doesn't feel right."
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I
Don't get me
like it.
wrong. If it was anything but Prince of Persia, you know, like I feel like you could have still done that, but
I thought it did good.
Jake Gyllenhaal as
Oh,
the
man.
Prince of Persia,
Mother
Like-
freaking Prince of Persia.
it's the whitest
Well,
Prince
they
of Persia
did
in
the same
world.
thing with the Assassin's Creed movie too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least they could build in the
Yeah.
excuse that he was like a virtual avatar of something, you know.
I
But
didn't
I
like
got
that
then they
weird
should have
little
had like,
machine they had him in.
yeah, they could have at least had like, you know, a
Somebody pick him
transition
up with
of
a claw machine. It's like, got him, Mom.
maybe the studio just thought people were too dumb.
Yeah. Anyways, I think there's a fair amount of time that a game should take. Like, a 6-year dev cycle like Last of Us had, I think that's pretty fair and common. Like most games typically have, especially of that breadth and that depth and everything that goes into it. I mean, you've got like sports games that come out every year. You've got a Call of Duty game, which they come out every year, but they have a 3-year dev cycle because there's 3 studios.
Mhm.
making
And the
them.
WWE games.
Yeah.
So
So
2K games are a dime a dozen, and they don't always get better each time. They just have more.
Even they had to take 2 years out to do 2K22 because 2K20 was such a freaking.
It was trash. It was
That's got to be so
absolute
weird
trash.
to the people who were like, I'm going to replay through all of them. And they're like, all right, where's 21?
just didn't happen.
You can
I
also
mean,
just like screw with people. Just like, oh man, you couldn't believe what you could do in that game. I merged. I had a fusion bomb between The Rock and Stone Cold.
like Dragon Ball meets WWE.
Yeah.
They took it in a whole different direction.
But like, I'm fine. Like, though, like if a game needs like 6 months, 6 to 8 months, like for them to polish it to make it look better. But like, I think once you get past that initial delay, something's going on there. I don't know if I want to be part of
Yeah,
that.
and there's a lot of games that have been like historically delayed so many times, and now that's where Skull and Bones has fallen under. That's back coming around full circle here. Skull and Bones has been delayed multiple times.
I think I
And we
counted
have
like 6 times.
No idea why exactly. Like they just keep saying like, oh nope, it's going to need some more polish. Which I think it's
Yeah.
more like they realize like people aren't enjoying it, so we need to
Yeah.
make something better.
How do
I'm
we
just
make this
wondering-
like Sea of Thieves?
Yeah. I'm just wondering if they're being like pushed to get it out on time. They're just clearly not ready. And so they're like, we got to crunch, get it done. And then just no.
Ubisoft has a
Maybe everyone's just getting to the point where everyone's hip to people getting sick of live service games in general. So they're going, what can we do to make this actually a live service game that people are going to play and doesn't die within 12 months?
And that's part of the
them are.
problem. Because Ubisoft's making all their games live service games now.
I
They
know.
just decided
And it's
like
a
all their
problem.
games can be live service from now on. Like,
Very true.
Bad choice.
so yeah, I think maybe we do need to retitle this episode like, "What the fuck is
Ubisoft.
up with Ubisoft?
Ubisoft, what up with that?
What the hell are you doing, Ubisoft?" All right,
You be wrong.
Yeah.
You be wrong.
I do want to bring up one more, which had a really long dev cycle, which was Scorn. And I think that started off a Kickstarter, didn't it? And I know that
I remember that being announced too back in like the 2016-17 time frame.
I saw it. It was 8 years. It was 2014, I think it was.
But that's a pretty small studio, though, too, isn't it?
It was, but what it seemed to promise and what ended up being, which was like a puzzle / maze that with like almost no shooting in it. That seemed, it was pretty bad. I'm not sure that their final vision was what they had delivered on.
Yeah, I was pretty excited for Scorn myself. I have yet to play it, but I've been like, it doesn't quite look like what I thought it was gonna be, and now I'm like, oh well.
I don't know what that game was supposed to be. It looked like some like hardcore sex dungeon when I saw the trailer, and I was like, no, I'm good.
That's a pretty fair assessment, actually.
The hell trailer did you watch?
The one where the dude's like looking down, he's like, I'm gonna. What is he grabbing? Talking about how long is too long? That thing was way too freaking long.
I do remember watching one of the early development videos where it was like he was reloading a gun that was like a very phallic shaped, and he was like inserting more phallic shapes into it. And it was like, okay,
What does this show become?
what is wrong with Ubisoft?
Where's the sequel?
But I don't know. I think to me, when a game is pushing, say like 8 years, that
it's a
sounds
bit
too
much.
long to me. Like if you're pushing 8 years, you better have a damn good game. Like it better be up there within relative terms of what your studio is capable of. Like if you're an indie dev, if you're a solo dev, if you're a big AAA studio, it should be relative to what your studio can put out. But anything beyond that time frame is like, why are you still going at this point?
I mean, you're pretty much crossing generations as well. So So you're having to build it on 2 different fucking platforms.
Yeah, there's that too. Like, because most console generations are 7 years. So if you're taking longer than a console generation to make your game, then it's.
I'm just curious. Do you think they may be like pushing it back to like, all right, well, maybe like pirate games will come back around again?
Like, waiting for it to make a resurgence.
Yeah, no, because like that's the thing. It's like you had games like, I feel like the zombie genre has played out completely since like 2012. I'm just burnt out of that. It's like by the time Last of Us 2 came out, I'm tired of this apocalyptic world.
Well, that's why it's not zombies. It's not zombies.
Zombies,
Yeah,
I get it.
There
They say
needs to
it.
be. The thing is, when you make a game that falls within a genre, you have to be able to find a way to separate yourself, especially if the tropes have been done to death. You can either lean into them and provide like an over-the-top version of something, or you can actually present a unique spin.
I'm just kind of wondering though, because I'm like, are they waiting to put it out when it would be a little bit better to put it out? Like, isn't there supposed to be like another Pirates of the Caribbean movie coming out?
And
There's
like,
always supposed to be another
and like,
of
so
every
when
franchise
when the
movie.
hype is,
I guess if they were going for like a tactical release on it, that could make sense. Like maybe they're waiting for certain things. As long as they're not doing what they've been doing with some of their other games, where you're going to release it broken as fuck and then try to fix it.
that's the issue.
Which they did with like Rainbow Six.
Everything.
Just everything.
Yeah,
More
like
Ubisoft.
For Honor, For Honor and Rainbow Six are probably their more successful games as a service that they've managed to somehow retcon over the years since they've come out. But yeah, I'm less and less excited for Ubisoft games as they go on. They're making a Star Wars game. Hopefully it's okay because it's from the people who made The Division. So we'll see what happens with
It's about
that.
math, right?
Yes.
Just
Division.
Yes. And one of the Assassin's Creed, maybe one of the smaller ones. Hopefully, they go back to their roots. But
Yeah, that one they announced was supposed to do that, right? Like they're announcing
The
like a
Mirage.
shorter. Yeah.
Still
Oh,
no
man.
release date on that,
no.
sadly.
Yeah. Too soon, maybe. And then that's going to be the next game we're talking about when we're talking about games being announced
But
too soon.
Here's the bad part. I'm still going to buy it.
As you're here wearing your Assassin's
all
Creed shirt
suckers.
and we're dumping on Ubisoft.
We're talking
At
about
the
Black
end of the
Flag.
day, we're all suckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it ever comes out.
So before we take too long to end the podcast, we'll sign off and say good night. Thank you, MSG. Thank you, Ian.
Yep.
And of course, thank you, Ubisoft Jake.
Ubisoft Jake.
This has been
That's
a
not
pretty
something you want as a moniker.
No.
Ubisoft Jake.
Hey, don't make fun of me, okay? I'd be soft if I want.
That's the thing. You
We
gotta
love
change
our
their name to
soft boys.
IBsoft.
I'd be soft. You be better.
Touche. Very well.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good night. We'll see you all next week. So long.
Bye.
Bye.